Hey everybody, this is Mark Garrett from Kardashev, and a while back I did a vocal instruction video, I guess we can call it, and it's been a long time since I did that, I think about a year, and I've learned a lot of important things about doing vocals. Honestly, a lot of important things that I should have known that I didn't know, and so I thought I would take some of those things and share them with you. That being said, we're going to touch a little bit on breathing. We're going to go in more in-depth on that. We're going to go into volume and projection and why they're kind of different but kind of the same. And we're also going to talk about things you can do to help your vocals, all while showing you a couple more warm-ups that I think you guys can benefit from. So, that being said, we will start with breathing. Okay, so there are three types of breathing that I've learned about. The first is called clavicular, and that comes from the word clavicle, which is, right here. I hope I'm right, because otherwise I look like an idiot on the internet. I'm pretty sure this is the clavicle. I think we can trust that fact. And clavicular breathing, think about when you've been running a race for a long time, or you're scared or you're panicked, and you're like, this is moving up and down really fast. You don't want to do that. The reason is it puts a lot of strain in this area, and if you strain your instrument, you're not going to be using it for a while. The second is called thoracic, which I assume has the same root of the word thorax, and that is the chest region, and that's the way that most people breathe. And if you look at my chest, I'll kind of turn to the side a little bit, you can see like a lot of people breathe from their chest. That you don't want to do either, because again, it adds a lot of strain to your body in general, to your instrument. And again, if you're not using your instrument correctly, you're probably not going to be using it at all for very long. The correct way to breathe is called diaphragmatic, or breathing from your diaphragm. And it kind of looks silly if you over-exaggerate it, which I'm about to do so you can see. You're going to see my gut, but you can kind of, and I'll stand up to do it so I'm a little bit more in the shot, but you breathe out and in from the stomach. So just kind of to get an idea. Out and in from the stomach. And I've over-exaggerated that just a little bit so you can see what I'm using. And there are a couple good warm-ups you can use to get yourself in the mindset of breathing from the diaphragm. The first and foremost is I put my hand right under my ribs, where my sternum would be, which is right here. I put my hands there, and I breathe in such a way that my hands rise and fall. I can see them visually moving. And again, it's a little over-exaggerated, but it's telling my mind to focus on breathing from here. So if you breathe out and your hand moves, you're on the right track. The second is to take your fists and put them on your ribs. And you want to push your fists out, because when you're breathing from your diaphragm, which is an upside-down umbrella-shaped muscle in between your ribs, sort of under the lungs, it puffs out the ribs. So if you breathe out, let's try that one again. That one was much better. You can see my fists are sort of rising and falling. So diaphragmatic breathing is very important. The reason for that is, from my understanding, and if anybody knows more about this, please feel free to let me know. But your diaphragm is a very strong muscle. You use it to speak, you use it to talk. You use it for pretty much any vocal sound you're going to make. So if you use that for singing, you're going to take a lot of strain off of your throat, and you're going to be able to sing for much longer. And if you're into metal, you're going to be able to do screaming vocals for a lot longer. That being said, that's my little touch on breathing. Hopefully it was helpful. Now let's talk a little bit about volume versus projection. They're very similar in many ways, and some people might even argue that they are the same. I view them differently, because with just volume, I have to push, I have to strain. One thing I've been practicing a lot in my warm-ups is I practice just talking as far as the amount of stress that I use, the amount of stress I put on my system. So what I'll do is, in a metal style vocal, and starting off very soft, nothing I would ever record with, nothing I would ever perform with. Starting off very soft, I say to myself a sort of mantra. I say, I'm just talking. I'm just talking. I'm just talking. So as if I'm working with a high, I'll just say, yeah, I'm just talking. I'm just talking. I'm just talking. Repeated like that, and you can see, yeah, I'm just talking. Yeah, I'm just talking. The diaphragm moving a little bit versus the chest. And then, when you want to be a little bit more serious about it, you can do that now that you've gotten yourself into the mindset of, I don't actually need to scream. I can use my system to project. I can use my mic and my PA system to help project for me. There's no reason to strain. You can do something a little bit more serious, like, I'm just talking. I'm just talking. Kind of like that. And the best way to describe to you how to project is to utilize your diaphragm to reinforce the sound. And it's going to be confusing at first, and it's going to be hard, but it's something that everybody kind of has to figure out for themselves if they don't have the luxury of paying a very fancy, schmancy vocal coach like most of us in the metal world can't really get access to. So you use your diaphragm to speak, and then you push with your diaphragm, and your voice will get a little bit more powerful. In fact, I can take my normal voice, and if I drop it a little bit, and I project, I can be much louder. So that's what I'll talk about as far as volume versus projection. The warm-up for that, we'll just touch on it again, is once you've done all your other warm-ups to, in a very soft, very relaxed metal voice, to just say, I'm just talking. I'm just talking. That's what I've picked up. All right, so the third thing I want to talk about, and probably the most interesting, to me anyway, is some cool little tips and tricks I've learned. Nothing I tell you today is going to make you a better vocalist. Utilizing these things along with your own mentality, along with your own technique, is what's going to make you a better vocalist. I'm honestly just here telling you how to protect yourself. First and foremost, I used to drink a lot of hot tea, and it didn't make any difference, but lots of people swore by it. Here's the reason that, for me, and I would put my paycheck for you, isn't the best idea. If you take any sort of animal tissue and you put it in hot water for a long time, it's either going to cook, you're burning yourself, or it's going to turn kind of soft and flimsy and too floppy. You drink cold things, it's going to stiffen, it's going to become hard, and then your vocal cords are just going to be, although when you drink, the water does not actually touch your vocal cords, but your entire system, your instrument, will get colder. It'll get firmer, and that's not good either. So one thing I do is I have my magical potion is room temperature water. If you hate room temperature water, I'm sorry. Brew some tea and then drink that at room temperature, although I'm too lazy to put the time and effort into that, to be quite honest with you. Room temperature water, it's not going to overheat and make it floppy. It's not going to make it cold and crackly a lot. You can't really drink too much. Just make sure your airway's cleared so you don't breathe in and some of the residual water makes you choke. Another cool little tip, we'll talk about warm-up tips, is lip rolling. That is something that really was brought to my attention because people said, it's not only about your tone, it's about how you articulate your tone. So there's a warm-up I've started doing where I make this noise softly, not pushing too hard. Whoop, whoop, whoop. And I roll my lips like this. So, what that does is it gets the actual pieces of my instrument. If you were to think about, you know, a guitar or a trumpet or any other instrument, you have to take care of the pieces. You got to change the strings. You have to clean the fretboard. Just like your instrument, you have to take care of it. If you're a vocalist, you have to warm up the parts. So this actually has been one of the most valuable warm-ups I have been doing for a while. And I might have touched on it in my last video, but I've really been putting it into practice now, and it's making a big difference. Super silly, makes a big difference. The next warm-up technique I've been doing is I've been yawning. That is something I learned from watching some videos by a vocal instructor named Eric Arsenault. And I would highly urge you look him up on YouTube. He's got a bunch of free videos. He has some stuff you can purchase. I haven't really looked into it, although I'm sure it's amazing. His YouTube videos are fantastic. And what he does is he does a very gentle cough. He's not pushing because, you know, coughing can be damaging. He's just going like this. And I kind of moved away from the mic so you could see a little bit better what I'm doing. But as you do that, it'll really isolate your diaphragm. It'll let you know where your diaphragm is. And that's usually the first thing I do, because that shows me, like, this is where you need to think. This is where you need to be right now. You know, focus here as far as where your sound is being generated from, in a way. Although we all know the sound comes from this area, but you want to push it from here. So if you start out doing this, very soft, almost a whisper, you're going to see improvement. I really think that's true. So those are the 2 warm-ups I've done, and I think they're very beneficial. So try those out. The last thing I want to talk to you guys about, and this is just kind of a tone tip. We're going to talk about tone a little bit, young lads. Oh, let me get some of my room temperature water here. Tepid. It's not good, but it works. Let's talk about tone a little bit. I mean, that's what makes you sound cool. That's like that low, gurgly growl, or that high, like, shrieking, like Trevor Strnad, Black Dahlia Murder style high vocal that we all strive for. Even I strive for that still. One thing I've learned with your lows is you can do a type of low that will sound really thick and full. You can't really articulate it with it very well. So if you're trying to say a very complex phrase, you might want to shy away from it. But what you do is you do your normal low, and you take your tongue and you kind of curl it up loosely behind your teeth. There's a little ridge behind your teeth called the alveolar ridge. And you can feel it. Everybody has it. You just take your tongue, put it on the tip of your teeth, and slowly slide back, and you'll feel this bumpy area with skin on it, and that's the alveolar ridge. You take that and you just sort of lay it with a soft curl on that area, and you do your low as normal. And you can put some weird sounds on it, but it doesn't create a pig squeal. It's not a brie by any means, although the technique for making a pig squeal is very similar. But it sounds kind of like this, like a normal low. That's a normal low. Curl my tongue. See how it has kind of like a thick, gurgly, kind of disgusting, really. It's kind of gross, but it sounds kind of cool. I mean, I think it sounds kind of cool. That's just something I figured out in the past couple weeks that you can do, and how I practiced that, because again, whenever you're going to try a new technique on your tone, practice it first. Is I did it without the growl, and it sounds ridiculous. But when I do a low, if I'm not adding the growl, it sounds like this. Take the phonation, the voice sound away, and add the growl. So I practiced the tongue rolling technique like this. I sound ridiculous. I can't even take myself seriously when I do that, but it helps, and it's safe, and you'll want to stay safe. And when you do that, you make those like noises. You get the really disgusting like noises. And it sounds really weird, but I think it sounds very cool. Give it a try. If you don't like it, don't ever do it. But if you do like it, do it a lot, whatever you want to do. That's pretty much all I have for the video today. If you want a more detailed look on actual vocal warm-ups that you can do, refer to my video that I posted about a year ago. And take it very, very seriously, because you can strain your voice. I have strained my voice, and I wasn't able to practice for 2 weeks, and it sucks. You don't want to be the guy at practice sitting down, texting on your phone, because you can't do it. It's terrible. So, do your warm-ups. Leave me some feedback. If there's anything that you know that I don't know, I would love to know it. That being said, have a good one. Sayonara. Any other language you may speak. I'm out.